this rally endangered people. This kind of activity will put more people at risk.
Meantime, in North Carolina, more than 100 people showed up to the rally in Raleigh, demanding Democratic Governor Roy Cooper reopen the state, saying the stay-at-home order is, quote, unconstitutional overreach. Here's a business owner followed by the governor. Look.
This is my livelihood. We put everything into our businesses, and it's really scary what's happening right now.
Some people want us to completely obliterate these restrictions. It would be a catastrophe.
Police in North Carolina repeatedly tried to shut down the protest and eventually arrested a woman for violating the stay-at-home mandate. In Wisconsin, two GOP state lawmakers say the restrictions implemented by Governor Tony Evers will lead to civil disobedience and revolt. The governor says those comments could damage the state's efforts to contain the virus. In California, health officials say church gatherings are causing an uptick in coronavirus cases, but that has not stopped a Sacramento pastor from holding church services and encouraging people to attend. Though Pastor Dan Ostring is also making sure his parishioners stay at least 10 feet apart. In Kentucky, some who attended Easter services in Louisville got notes on their cars telling them to self-isolate, though Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says those who refuse will not be punished. Finally, some legal scholars say states that use border checkpoints to target out-of-state residents are blatantly violating civil rights. Shannon.
All right, Trace, we will debate that now. Thank you very much for setting us up. So, the instances of so-called civil disobedience increasing at the same time that Harvard researchers say social distancing in these lockdowns, some of them may have to remain in place until 2022. So let's debate that with Democratic strategist Dave Brown and Trump 2020 senior legal advisor Jenna Ellis. Good to have you both with us.
Great to see you, Shannon.
Hey, Shannon.
Okay, so let's go straight to Michigan, where the governor has been generating a lot of heat. A lot of those protests you saw in Lansing today. The governor says they may be counterproductive. Here's her take.
We know that this rally endangered people. This kind of activity will put more people at risk. And sadly, it could prolong the amount of time we have to be in this posture. I just ask you to do your part.
All right, Jenna, she says you may have to stay home longer because of protests like these.
Well, I hope that the Michigan governor and the Democratic governors, especially around the country, are prepared to do their part in recognizing that Americans value and cherish liberty and freedom. It's ingrained in who we are as Americans. And there's not just one simple equation here. And just because the government may have some authority to impose some reasonable restrictions when they advance a compelling state interest, the public welfare doctrine and public safety doesn't give them the unlimited power and unrestricted power to continue this for so long and to minimize absolutely every risk. Americans are reasonable and are responsible, and at some point the government in each state is going to have to recognize that we have the right to our freedom and liberty, and that we have the right to make decisions for ourselves, recognizing that there are some recommendations, but that we have the inherent risk, just like we have a risk when we go out and do any sort of activity, but we also have a right to pursue happiness. We also have a right to participate in the economy. We have a right to these liberty and freedoms that we so value and cherish. And so that's why it's a much more complex posture here than